So today we're on our third problem. Remember, this is a series of 5 problems. We're on problem number 3. Remember, you had camp in week 1, so we've got to make sure we had to choose a week where we had 2 problems. Now, today we've got kind of a number problem where we're thinking of a pattern. So we've got think of a number, double it, add 1, then multiply it by 5. Why does this number always end in 5? Okay, remember this is driven by you, so I want to hear all of your thoughts and ideas. Elsie, you had your hand up first. What do we think?
So whenever you multiply, double an even number, it stays an even number.
Okay, double, even, and it stays even.
And if
Yep.
you double an odd number, it turns into an even number.
Okay, so if we double an odd number, it turns to even.
Yeah.
I might say double odd number. Right, so we double an odd number and it becomes even. Just remember, if you didn't have anything down, here are some ideas of what we're going to write down. Okay, right, so Elsie, do you want to keep going for me?
And then whenever you add when you add 1 to an even number, it becomes an odd number.
Yep, when you add 1 to an even, right, it becomes odd. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then any odd number times 5 will always end in a 5.
Okay.
And that's why it always ends in a 5. It's odd.
Now I'm going to write that down and then we're going to see if we can justify that, which means just explain our reasoning behind that. So we've said any odd number, what did we say? Multiplied by? Is, what are we going to say? Multiplied by 5 what? Ends in 5? Yeah, okay, cool. Ends in 5. Okay. Did we have anything else down, Elsie? No? Okay. That's a really, really good start. What are we thinking, Michaela? Okay, let me write that down. So 5 times tables end in what?
Either end in a 0 or a 5.
Do we want to give an example? What are my 5 times tables?
5 times 13 is 5.
And so on. Okay, cool. And what are we going to say with that?
And every second number is a 0, which are all the even numbers. So any even number times 5 is a 0, and any odd number times 5 is 5.
Okay, so we're saying that? Is that what we're saying? Yeah. Now you were saying that any even number times 5 becomes an even number. So what are you saying about this list of numbers? What do we think, Boston?
I wrote the reason why is because
you
get an odd number and you can't multiply, you can't times an odd number by itself to get another odd number unless it has point that.
Okay, good idea. Do we have any reasoning behind that, or are we just thinking that's potentially true? Okay, cool. Yep.
Depends on if you're counting that.
Okay. Alex, what are we thinking?
The example we just had.
Yep.
So if you have 5 and you multiply it by any number that has ever been made up.
Okay. Yep.
It actually is impossible to come up with another number unless it has a decimal point. And the reasoning for that.
Yep.
It's 5 is half of 10, and 10 numbers always, and you times anything by 10, it always ends in a 0.
Yep. Okay.
And so 5 is half of that,
Mm-hmm.
which means it will always end in a 5, because that is the end number, or the end digit.
Yeah, so what you're saying is essentially is that your multiples of 5 have to go engine 0, then engine 5, then engine 0, then engine 5, and so on.
That if you have anything times by 5, it will always end in a 5 because you cannot get
always end in a 5 or a 0.
You cannot get a 0 from times 5 by 25. There is no number that can be multiplied by 5 and you will get any other letter.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is when we multiply 5 by an odd number, it ends in 5. That's what you're telling us?
And an even.
What about 5 times 10?
Different, sorry.
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
You're on the right track.
Because when you have any number, you add 1 and it makes it odd.
Yes, so...
Which makes even, and then you add 1, it means odd, and 5 times any odd number equals, it ends in 5.
So that's bringing back to what Elsie said. She started from the very beginning. If we have a number and we double it, then it stays even. Now let's think about why. We've got this, but let's see if we can think about why this is true. Any ideas? Why is this true? Logan?
Because every time you double to something by 2, it always just becomes like a second. So like 2, well, 4 times 2, it will become 8.
Mm-hmm.
And it will not, it's not possible to get an odd number by finding an even number by 2.
How do we know that though? You want to think about it? What do we think, Campbell?
Whenever you have the odd by even, always becomes even, so then it becomes even by even, so they're even.
Mm-hmm. But what I'm trying to get is how do we know that? Alex?
Because when you multiply 2 by something, like say 2 times 24, you've got 2 digits in the first one, 2 times 8 as well. And so you have an 8 and a 2, and if a number can be divisible by 2, and it gets an even number, well, then it can actually be times by 2 and get an even number.
Good. That's good. So Alex has said that all even numbers are divisible by 2. So if we times a number by 2, what is it also divisible by?
2.
So let's write that down. All even numbers are divisible by 2. So timesing by 2 makes the number also divisible by 2. Well done, Alex. Okay, so we've just proven the first thing that Elsie said. What do we think, Boston?
Is because if you times something by 2, you can never, it's not possible to get a odd number out of that set.
Right, and that's what we've said there, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, so we've just proven the first point that Elsie said a couple minutes ago. And then same idea here. This also links to that one. So what we've just proven is that if we think of any number, whether it's even or odd, if we double it, it becomes divisible by 2, right? But what do we know, and this is what Elsie's next dot point has said, what do we know about the number after an even number? Sorry, I'll just pause. Okay, what do we know? This is our point here. Boston, what do we know?
Is that if you plus 1 to any even number, the next number after any even will be odd.
Yep, good. So that's what we've said there. That's something that we know. So I reckon that dot point's good there. And then the last thing is any odd number multiplied by 5 ends in 5. Okay, let's see if we can bring